Hey Jess, I
Yes.
forgot my I forgot my pop tonight, but I got an iced tea from McDonald's and almost all the ice is melted. So I'm gonna need to get some more ice when we're done with this. So let's
Okay.
get to it.
Let's get to it.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome to the Unhinged Bookcast, a podcast hosted by Jess and LJ who love all things fantasy books. I'm LJ.
And I'm Jess, and we're happy to have you back for another bonus episode.
Whether we're deep diving into thoughts and theories or just riding the vibes, we love discussing our current reads with each other and now with all of you.
We have just finished all three books in the Kindred's Curse Saga series by Penn Cole.
Tonight, we will have a special guest here shortly to talk with us about all our thoughts and theories for this series.
As always, these are adult fantasy books, so this is your content warning for the naughty words we use, as well as possible discussion of spicy and violent scenes from the book that may not be suitable for those little ears around you.
Also, a quick reminder that you can find us on Facebook and Instagram for the days in between.
We have both finished the book, but have not talked to each other yet about our final thoughts and theories, which has been almost torture. It has been torture.
It's been torture. As we said in last night's episode, we will be reading the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer Armentrout, as well as her Flesh and Fire series next.
Mm-hmm. Our discussion will be starting Tuesday, July 1st and running through September, leading up to the release of the final book in the Blood and Ash series.
We will post a whole schedule rundown and how we're going to do it after tonight's discussion, but let's get into it. Jess, would you like to introduce our special guest tonight?
Yes. So our special guest tonight is my mom, Suzanne.
Hello, everybody.
And she's also been reading the whole series.
Yes.
So, Mom, when did you read the series, the Kindred Curse series?
I started the first book on April 1st and finished the last book on April 11th.
Wow. I didn't realize you read them that fast.
I didn't either till I went back on my book journal and looked at it. And I've read 19 books since then.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So it's a little hazy.
Yeah. Did you read them like paper, or did you read them Kindle, or did you do audiobook?
I did both.
You did both. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought to say she's faster reader than we are.
Not really. Well, Jessica turned me on to the audiobooks before this, because I read Crescent City with audio.
Nice. I don't know if I could go back and forth. Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. But yeah, I'm shocked that I made it through them all three that fast.
I did not realize that you did that quickly.
I didn't either till I just right before we start, logged on, I checked that and I was like, wow.
No wonder you were like, these books are amazing, because you didn't have to wait. How long did it take us, Leslie? Like 2 months with the recording?
Yeah, I think about 2 months recording. Yeah. Because we did about a section a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was hard. After listening to the podcast, though, like with your next series, I would definitely want to do it with you guys. Not the recording part, but I want to read it in the sections and take notes, because I feel like I missed so much after listening to your podcast. I'm like, wait a minute. What was that? Wait a minute.
Wait, I missed that.
I may not have missed it, but there's been 19 books in between. So, and I'm old, so it's left the memory zone.
Well, that'd be really cool if on our next podcast that you actually like pace with us and read alongside the episodes coming out.
That would be awesome.
I definitely want to, and I want to like kind of take some notes with, alongside you guys, and challenge my own mind to stop and actually think about it and not just keep reading to finish. And for just the enjoyment, I want to add another element to it.
It's been fun because I like to read for the vibes, but this has taught me, Leslie has taught me how to slow down and look at the details a little bit more. And it's been cool.
Yeah, I want that. I missed a lot of those details after listening to you guys' podcasts. So I'm going to challenge myself.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's how I enjoy them so much more, is I tend to overthink books as I'm reading them. And then my mind spirals, and then I just get so excited where I'm like, I called it.
Oh, and I will say that because Mom was listening to the books, she was our phonetic dictionary. We would call her, I think we literally called her mid-podcast one night, and we're like, hold on, how do you say these words?
Last night.
It was like 11 o'clock. I didn't even think about what time it was. It was. You're like, oh, I gotta pop my mouth guard out.
I know. I thought, okay, this is an emergency. She doesn't call me this late at night if it's, hey, how are you doing? So, and I'm like, hello.
It was an emergency. We needed to know.
It was a different kind of emergency.
All right. So let's talk about thoughts for this whole series. So Mama, why don't you tell us your overall rating and like your thoughts on the series as a whole?
Well, I finished Throne of Glass and then started this one.
Immediately.
So, immediately. So I loved it. And I was having a hard time rating it between which one I liked better, Throne of Glass or this one. And at the time I said this one, not Throne of Glass. And Jessica's like, really? So I rate it very high. Do I do a 1 to 5?
Yeah, out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
I'm gonna go with 5 stars. I'm a very generous person when I come to my stars.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's
so
fair.
I rate it as a 5-star, and I think there's only some chili in the third book, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
There was a slight bit of chili in the very first book, like like a
bell pepper,
a quarter of a bell pepper.
Well,
just a little nibble.
I tend to not necessarily skip through the chili, but I just like read fast. And so
you and Leslie would get along well in that area.
Yeah,
whatever. Some of these books I am looking because that's when the author will throw in clues as when you're least expecting it. Okay.
That's true. I guess in the way that I read it, I'm gonna say 2.5, 3.
Okay.
Chili peppers.
Okay.
I don't know.
Good. So 5 stars and 2.5, 3 chilies.
Yeah.
And you like the series as a whole.
I loved it.
Good.
It's not thoughts and theories. My thoughts.
Yeah, your thoughts. I'm sorry.
I also loved it. I loved it. Despite even having to read it slow, I loved it. There were irritating parts here and there for sure, but I loved the whole book, the whole series. But I have read better. I would not put it up there with Throne of Glass. Yeah. Which I'm wondering if I read through it quickly, if that would change, like I said, if that would change my perspective. But for now, I'm gonna give the whole series I'm gonna say 4. I'm gonna give it a 4. Okay. 4 out of 5 stars. Yep. There was enough annoying stuff that I wouldn't quite give it a 5, but I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay.
And the whole series for chili peppers, I mean, 1.5.
1.5.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just very disappointed in that whole
We were all disappointed.
Although, did you read in the acknowledgments? I don't know if you read this, Mom, since you listened to it. I think it was in her acknowledgments at the end of the third book. She did say, like, I promise the 4th book is Luther's place to shine. I promise all of you guys are going to love Luther in the 4th book.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay. I mean, like, I do already love him.
I do too.
Yeah, I do love him.
He's such a cute bubba dog.
Leslie. No, I agree. He's not morally gray.
No.
He's not morally gray. He has a lot of morally, what would the opposite of gray be? Not gray.
Beige. He's beige.
He's morally beige.
He's beige.
But he's not morally gray, but he's not a safe person either.
He's
still a dangerous man.
Okay, he had the chance to off multiple enemies of hers and didn't. Okay, he did the right thing to make her heart happy.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your thoughts on the whole series? Since we're already going down this road, you tell us.
Let me step up on my soapbox here. Okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
The story overall, decent.
Okay.
It has many things that make it enjoyable to me, but too many that just fell flat. I wish it was more of slowly figuring out some of these questions that like just kind of keep popping up, right? So we're like, okay, what happened with her mom? And then like that was dragged out for forever. And then, okay, maybe her mom's not who we think she is, and that's being dragged out. And the murder mystery of her father. Did we forget that he died? Like, we're just not, we don't care. She's like, I'm going to find out who killed him. And like, nothing. It's so many just little things where it's like, here's a little bit of information here. Here's a little bit of information here. And it's just dropped and it's literally never come back to. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
That drives me so crazy because if this book number 4 is supposed to be the last book, right? There ain't no damn way we are solving all of these problems efficiently or like, well, does that make sense? Like, well, nothing is going to be put together well in just one more book because you're going to have to make it over 1,000 pages, obviously, but it's still going to be rushed. Like, you think about the second half of this book, it was so rushed and it was just a couple more things dropped and dumped. And it just doesn't, it's almost confusing because it's so rushed. And I really do feel like that's how this could end. And it's going to make it suck more. However, I am currently reading a book that I just decided to pick up for the vibes because I was so pissed off at the ending of this book that I almost threw my Kindle. Within 30 minutes, I was reading another book. This book from start to end, I'm not quite done with it yet, but is like, it's magnificent. It's so good. And it's like, it's good pacing and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, no, it's not that I overanalyze it because I'm thinking the same way. It's just that book sucked for me personally. Well, okay. For the whole series, I'll give it generous. I'm being generous. 3 stars.
Be real.
3 stars out of 5 for the whole series.
Are you sure?
3 stars. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got a 3, 4, and a 5.
Yep. And the last book I gave it 2.
Ooh.
So yeah.
How many? That was my favorite one.
Chili is like, sure. How about a bell pepper? A green bell pepper. They're the sweetest. So, all right. So let's ask some questions that we have and let's discuss.
Let's start. Leslie, who was/is your favorite female character and male character?
Female character is Alex.
Okay.
Favorite male character, 100% Taryn.
Darren. He was cool.
He's awesome.
Cool. Mom, what about you? Favorite female character or favorite male character?
I like Alix. Of course I like DM, but I mean, I don't want to make her my favorite. I like Alix because at the end of the last book, the hard choices that she had to make, due to the position she was put in.
Yep.
And I appreciate that because she had to do the right thing. And then as far as my favorite male character, this will kill Leslie, but I do like Luther.
I almost took a drink. That could have been bad.
Okay, I'm gonna be Miss Cliche here, DM and Luther.
Yep. That checks out.
Leslie knew it. I was gonna say that.
Checks out. I knew what she was gonna say.
Alix would be my second favorite.
Yeah.
For sure. I respect her strongly, but DM is just super cool. She irritates me. But I think that she's relatable in a real way because she does screw up. She does panic word vomit when she shouldn't be. I tend to do that too. And she makes bad decisions. She makes good decisions. I like her. I do. I think she's real.
Oh, yeah. Which is your favorite magic? If you could have any, which one would you want to have?
Jess, you go first. I gotta think.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Oh, and I gotta think too. My favorite magic. I think personally that the Sophos magic is my favorite because it's spark. So there is a destroying aspect there that you can defend yourself, kill people if needed, whatever, with the electrical spark stuff that they have. But the thought magic, like to be able to memorize absolutely anything, catalog it in your brain, and then just pull it to the front whenever you need it, would be amazing. So I'm going to say Sophos is my favorite.
Like that.
I'm going to say Umbros.
Remind me what their magic was.
Reading people's thoughts and like being in people's minds and making people do things. Like when I asked my husband about 20 times to take out the trash, I can literally make him get up off his butt and go take the trash out.
Yes, ma'am. I'm taking the trash out.
I would like to manipulate them, though. I would enjoy that.
Well, which magic would you pick?
I'm not sure. I thought about Four Toes and the healing, but then I thought I don't do good in emergency situations. So that would not be good. Lumnos, a light which burns while shadows bite. The kind of person I am, I would want my light to burn for good.
All right, I've got a question.
Yes.
Tell me the truth. Did you look up fan art before we finished the series?
No.
Did not.
I never do. The only time I ever see fan art is if Jessica sends it to me.
Jess, come clean or I'll use my Umbros magic on you. I'll know if you're lying. Tell me, Jess, did you look up fan art?
Okay. Leslie, yes. I tried to be so good. I did. I tried to be good because I did not want to have spoilers because I really wanted to make my reactions and our discussion organic. So I did not accept when we very first started, honestly, before I knew that you did not like looking it up beforehand.
Yes.
I looked up pictures of Diem and Luther because I needed to see it in my mind. So that is all I looked up.
Okay.
And they did not come with spoilers. But I'll be honest, I did look up what the fan art was of Diem and Luther.
Okay,
but that's it.
Checks out.
I have now gone down a deep dive of fan art. I was literally scrolling for 30 minutes the other day looking it up. So
there's not as much as I thought.
No, there's not. But Mom, I think I sent you, I don't know if you opened it, but on Instagram, I think I sent you like 10 different things the other day. Like Teller and Lily. Not. Oh yeah, I sent you so many things the other day.
Hold on. What happened to Zyphris? Where did he go into hiding all this time when Ophiuchi was locked up? Where was Zyphris?
Oh, I didn't see that one coming. Oh, I'd bet well, the Forgotten Lands.
It has to be the Forgotten Lands.
There.
He can't be on Kindred Island because if a Gryper touches the soil, they die.
Supposedly.
So where is the Forgotten Land? Is that part of Montios?
It's part of it's between Montios and Sophos.
Yep, it's because if you look at the map, which apparently, Leslie, we talking earlier, Mom and I, and she didn't look at the map before she started reading.
I'm looking at it right now.
She's looking at it right now. Oh, that's what it looks like. Okay, so look at Montios. Look how much bigger it is than the rest of the realms. Right. And then we find out later in book 3 that it was meant to be divided up into a 10th realm for the Forgotten One.
Well, I see. I think we started like thinking about this and pondering about this when she was looking at the map in Umbros's library, right?
Yep.
Like, and there's one big hard line or whatever, and then like a bunch of like the other ones were like kind of redrawn and stuff like that. But that one was like very, very, very split. And I was like, okay, look at the map. It's twice the size as any of the other realms. And that's when we started coming up with the number 10 theory.
Yep.
Right. And my theory that we'll talk about later has to do with that.
Okay.
A little bit.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the Forgotten Lands. That has to be the only possible place in the entire realm, entire continent that he could have hidden.
Yeah. Okay.
And do you want to start though?
Yeah, let's break down the prophecy, right? The Queen of Umbros, chapter 1, book 1. King Ulther's talking about it in book 1.
Book 1, chapter 29.
Yeah, and then I think it's at some point another time too. Where it comes up in book 1. And maybe even in book 3 too. But obviously this prophecy, right? So Jess, since you called that it was the Queen of Umbros, could you tell me what this prophecy was from book 1, chapter 1?
Yep. So book 1, chapter 1, if you guys remember the old lady in the alley, I called it early that was the Queen of Umbros. And she tells Diem, she's got her in her mental grasp, and she says, quote, "When forgotten blood on Heartstone falls, then shall the chains be broke. Life for life old debt requires, or eternal be his yoke."
Okay. So
Okay, I got a question.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was reading through these earlier, maybe I'm wrong, but they mention a him or a his.
Yes.
Is that Ophiuchi?
I know. I did not pick up necessarily on the his part until I was rewriting this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, well, hold on. Let's just do this one first.
Okay.
So when forgotten blood falls on Heartstone, or when forgotten blood on Heartstone falls. So that's when either descended heart or the kindred forgotten. So any of his blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Falls on the Heartstone. Then shall the chains be broke. What could the chains be?
I thought that the chains were like the chains holding each realm to its borders, basically.
So life for life, old debt requires. What life for what life?
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who's
Or
for
eternal
whose?
be its yoke.
His
So
yoke.
his yoke.
A yoke would be a
Like
burden
a
or
burden or like
something that's
basically your chains of
restraining.
slavery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm reading the definition of yoke. A contoured crossbar having two U-shaped attachments that fits around the necks of a team
Mm-hmm.
of oxen or other draft animals. See, I kind of think that, I don't know, should I say this now?
Yeah, do it.
We're
Ophiuchi.
theorizing.
I
Go for it.
think that Ophiuchi and Diem are going to somehow be a team.
Mm.
I think that's the plan. But or eternal be his yoke. So we have to, okay. So when forgotten blood on Heartstone falls, then shall the chains be broke. Life for life, old debt requires, or eternal be his yoke. Okay, think about all the chains on all the Gryverns.
Oh, yes.
Oh?
They each have a chain around their neck that is what
Mhm.
binds them, basically. It's an unbreakable chain,
Mhm.
supposedly, right? That is
Yep.
binding them to their loyalty to the crowns.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this brings me into another part of my theories,
Yeah,
which I
go for
guess
it.
I can throw out there right now.
Yeah.
Because also it's a little bit of a jump off of something that Leslie said episodes back. I don't remember when. But you said something about how you think that possibly the kindred have been cursed to
Mhm.
live out their lives as the Gryvern serving the crowns.
Yep.
Um
Immortally, yeah. Because they have
uh-huh.
yeah, I think it
And
has to do with like they couldn't be okay, so what did it say? Like something about how like another descended mate or whatever, if one dies before the other, then they stay like in this limbo or whatever.
I actually put this in my notes
Okay.
personally because it did come up. I was thinking about it earlier when I was thinking about all this. The Queen of Umbros is talking to Diem, and Diem's like, well, the kindred, you know, they've got a good sense of humor for a bunch of dead people. And she's like, oh, they're not dead.
They're not dead.
They're not dead. And she's like, well, they gave up their immortality to die with their mortal lovers. And then the Queen of Umbros is like, oh, they're not dead. Yes, their physical bodies passed away with their mortal lovers, but they are in like basically limbo kind of thing. So they're not actually dead. And then Diem's like, well, can they be killed? So they can't ever be killed. And she's like, oh no, they can die. But, you know, blessed Father Umbros didn't give me the information of how they
Mhm.
can die.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so that kind of makes me think, what if the kindred, their curse, I don't know if this is the curse, but they were cursed to then become the Gryverns and have to serve the crowns through all these years. And they can die, which we know two of them have died,
Mhm.
but we don't know the information of how. I mean, we know how they died, but no one knows for sure if that's the kindred or whatnot.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out if this is a to-do list or an avoid list?
To-do list or a to not list? To don't list.
Mom, do you have any more on this? Otherwise, we can kind of go into the next section of quotes. Okay.
I'm lost.
That's okay. I get really confusing when I get excited because it's like I have like 8 billion tabs open in my brain and I'm trying to pull it from each one and then I get confused. And then
See,
my
this
husband
is
walks
why the Sophos magic would be so handy.
the Sophos magic would be so handy. I'd have this whole book figured out already.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So this is, what is it? King Luther and DM before he dies. Okay.
Yep.
So I'll do this one unless you want to do it.
No, go for it.
Okay. So King Luther says, they told me you would come for me. DM says, what? Who? King Luther. Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
King of
Lumnos. King Ulthar.
Yeah. King Ulthar, not King Luther. They told me your blood would shatter our stone and lay waste to our borders. I am not afraid, devourer of crowns, ravager of realms, herald of vengeance. Now, with the ancient unearthly female voice, right, that we believe is Lumnos, thanks to Luther. Give him our gift, daughter of the forgotten. When the end has come and the blood has spilled, give our gift to my faithful heir and tell him this is my command. Okay, so let's start with the first part real quick. They told me your blood would shatter our stone and lay waste to our borders. Okay. So so they being probably the Kindred, right?
Probably the Kindred, because this is before Ulthar is talking through Lumnos is talking through Ulthar.
Yeah. So he says, they told me your blood would shatter our stone. Shatter our stone. So it's only cracked right now.
I know.
Okay. And lay waste to our borders. So that means the magic would be free. If my theory is
right now it's just breaking down. It's shady and whatnot, but it's not broken all the way.
Because like I think I've said this before, but I am 100% positive that the stone is a siphon, not a conduit.
Yeah.
I think it's taking all the magic from like the elemental magic and then is distributing only to Kindred blood.
Yep.
And her blood on it, or descended blood. Still Kindred blood, but descended
Kindred blood. Yeah.
And that's why mortals don't have it. And I think her blood is a mix of all of this. And I can get into this later, but I think it's a mix of literally everything. And that's why it would destroy this and give all the magic back where it's supposed to be. Okay. Yes. And that would be what would be wasting the borders. So the magic
like laying waste, again. Like they're going to be gone completely, not just kind of broken here and there.
Yep. So devourer of crowns. I think at the end of this book, we understand what that means.
We get that. She's taking all of the crowns.
She's taking all the crowns. And then a ravager of realms. So basically getting all the realms, right?
She is. And she's got all the magic and
And then herald of vengeance. What do you think that means?
Mom, do you have any thoughts on this before I talk?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this is where Ophiuchi comes in.
Yeah.
Because he's been locked up for so long. And there's a reason they locked him up. And so now he's out. And yes, he's seeking vengeance. He's angry for what they did. But is his anger a righteous anger? I struggle with that.
I don't think so. I have a small thought that it might be, but I don't think so.
Well, because I know who was he? He was trying to kill all the mortals, right?
He was trying to kill the descendants.
Okay, yeah. So he's angry with the descendants.
He's angry with the Kindred.
Yeah, I think ultimately,
and the descendants are basically their blood,
right? Yeah,
so he will be the most powerful person if he takes everybody else out. If he takes all the descendants out, because mortals won't be able to fight back.
But he keeps telling DM though that they could rule together, or some, right? I mean,
yes,
yeah.
So I struggle with what he sees versus what she sees, because she's also trying to give him grace.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I don't know.
See,
Go
I think
ahead.
jumping off of what you're saying there, so Herald of Vengeance, he's speaking, King Ulthar is speaking to Diem right now, and calling her the Herald of Vengeance. And I think, so the Kindred originally brought the, they said the Descended are going to be like the guardians of the immortals. They're going to protect them. They're going to make their lives better. But then they don't. They make things worse. And so I think that she is going to be obviously the one that brings vengeance on the Descended, on the Kindred blood for the mortals, but also for the good Descended.
Okay. So on the second part of this, give him our gift,
Now in
daughter
the
of the
Lumna voice of
forgotten.
Lumnos.
Yeah. And I think this is what, like the letter from Montios, and I think there's another one, but don't forget my sister's words, fear the wrath of my brother.
Beware the wrath of our brother, of the brother.
Something like that. So
Yeah.
I think, because I think this is the only time we know of that Luminos has spoken to her.
Yep.
So give him our gift, daughter of the forgotten. When the end has come and the blood has spilled, give our gift to my faithful heir and tell him this is my command.
Tell him what is my command.
What is the command? What the hell's the gift? And I swear to God, if the faithful heir isn't Luther, then we've screwed up this entire book.
See, I don't think so anymore.
Why
I have some
not?
wild, crazy. I have some
you tell
windy.
me now. We're not waiting. Okay, who is the faithful heir then?
I have some windy theories about this, and I don't know how to bring it all together. I was doing my darndest earlier to try and figure out how to pull this all together, but here we go.
Okay.
So, okay. First of all, the prophecy from Umbros says at the end, or eternal be his yoke.
Okay.
So this sounds like a warning. We don't want him to have an eternal yoke. Whoever this him, his, he is. Right?
Right.
Okay. So then later from Lumino says, give him our gift, daughter of the forgotten. When the end has come and the blood has spilled, give our gift to my faithful heir and tell him this is my command. Okay. Rabbit hole a little bit here. Luminos's eyes were gray. Diem's eyes are gray. Why are Luminos's eyes gray when all of her Descended are blue? That we know of, all of the other Kindred had the same color eyes of the Descended of their realm, but not Luminos. For some reason, hers are gray, not blue. Ophiakai's eyes are gray. I don't want to say this. I don't want Ophiakai to be this faithful heir. But what if they are like, what if there's something about Ophiakai? He actually was meant to be the heir.
He was.
But then why would he be the faithful heir? I don't know. It's like I said, I was trying my darndest to get this all put together into a cohesive thought, and I could not.
But why did they lock him up in the first place?
I know.
How did they lock him up?
How?
Or did they not lock him up and it's all a scheme?
But Orly is a master of lies and deception, so who knows whatever comes out of her mouth.
I'll tell you what I think about this bitch here in a little bit. So Mom, do you have any more thoughts on who the faithful heir could be?
I go back and forth between Ophiakai and Diem. I just feel there's something about Ophiakai that we don't know.
I think so.
I know,
and I could be.
So give him our gift, daughter of the forgotten. So it can't be Diem. Diem has to give a gift.
It has to be a him, and they're speaking to Diem.
When the end has come and the blood has spilled, give our gift to my faithful heir and tell him this is my command.
Right. And that's why I think Ophiakai has a big part.
Okay.
But then again, to me, it's like backwards.
How so?
Because Diem is born after Ophiakai. But it's confusing to me because why would she be the one to give him the gift? I don't know. I'm always rooting for the underdog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's something about Ophiuchi that I don't know. He could be redeemed. I don't know.
DM seems to think so.
I know, and I kind of seem to think so too.
She's gonna try.
I think so too. Or she's gonna try really, really hard and end up getting a ton of answers out of him at the end, like his, deathbed words or something like that, and then he is gonna end up dying.
That's a good point.
Okay, then we'll keep moving along. Okay, so this is book 3, chapter 35 from Montios's diary in the Umbros Library. Quote, "There is a plan, but our youngest will not agree. Our lives are shorter now. We must persuade him before our time expires. I confess, some days I fear him. What happened in our homeland did not scare him, as it should have. Instead, he speaks of it with reference. Even our M.O.
Capital M.O. I swear that's got to be mother.
Mother. I do too.
I have thoughts on that too.
So would that be our 11?
Oh shit, I didn't think about that.
What if DM's a kindred sibling? Mike fucking drop.
What were you gonna say, Mom?
Sorry.
I do think that she is the 11th.
The mother or whatever? DM. Or that DM is the 11th.
That DM is our 11th.
Okay.
But yeah.
I think me and Mom are on a roll. Dun, 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 dun,
okay, do you want to hear what I have to say about the mother?
Yes. Go for it.
I want to hear.
She's like, damn it,
I'm your mother. I want to hear.
Okay, tell us.
Okay, so if Lumnos has gray eyes, Ophiuchi has gray eyes, / I still think Ophiuchi is Omnos gray eyes. The rest of them all have different color eyes. We know siblings don't always have different colored eyes, right? I mean, okay. Sorry.
The thing is we don't know that all the Kindred had different colored eyes.
That is very true. We don't. We assume that.
So what if
unfortunately,
it came from...
So this is a portion of my theory, I guess. Hoping...
It came from the mortal is where the different colored eyes came from.
Right. Okay, here's my thought is what if Lumnos and Ophiuchi both have the same color eyes? Like they're all siblings, the rest of them all have different colored eyes. And they're both siblings, but there's something special about Lumnos and Ophiuchi / Omnos, if he is Omnos. Which is why only King Ulthar, Lumnos speaking through King Ulthar, talks of giving the gift to our faithful heir. Like that's when we hear about the him and the his and all that stuff. I don't want to think that Ophiuchi is going to be redeemed. I'd like to see him just obliterated into ash, but maybe he was meant to be an heir. I don't know. Okay, so I think this is a good point where we can kind of tie into the end of the book, like that last chapter, and how we think it's going to move forward into the next book. So just a quick recap. If we remember, the end of the book, the very last chapter, the Sophos Crown says, let's extend the wards of the Heartstone and make it so that only the crowns are allowed to enter or exit the island, and anybody who is not a crown will die if they even touch the soil. However, Diem is cursed now, basically, to stay there until the end of her days with this new ward. And then we've got the king of... So that's when, like, Luther and Teller and Perth show up, and it's right before sunset, and they're trying to get... She's trying to get them to get off the island. Sarai comes. She's able to get Sarai out of her... Like, Sarai gets out of her bonds, and she comes, and she takes them. Teller basically sacrifices Perth so that he can grab Luther. Luther and Teller get away. Perth ends up dying as the sun sets. And then the last couple literally sentences of the book are the King of Igneos. So he's the one who stabbed the Queen of Umbros through the heart with a Godstone dagger. But as he's assaulting her. Basically, she grabs his wrist and digs her nails into his wrist, and her nails are godstone. She's got godstone edges to them. So he realizes basically that he's dying. He stays behind, and right at the end of the book, he stabs Diem in the back through the heart with a godstone dagger of some sort. And that's it, to be continued. So
right.
okay, so how do we think though that like with all this, like, is she gonna die? What's going on with Luther? How did Sarai get out of her bonds so quickly and get to them? All of those questions that we need answered. What do we think? Mom, what do you think?
Part of me thinks she is gonna die.
Really?
You think?
Yes. So? Part of me thinks that. But then this is really going out there.
Just go out there.
Go out
there.
That's like, what we do.
I wrote a note down. Somehow she's gonna come back reincarnated.
Okay.
That would, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how, but then I also think somehow now Ophiuchi is gonna come in and save her.
I had that
and then
thought too.
They're gonna work together. Let's see. And I wrote, okay, so this is my notes. I didn't know this was going to be the question, but I said, I think Diem dies and becomes reincarnate somehow. Ophiuchi comes and becomes good, and together they make some changes.
Okay.
And I don't know how Luther's going to play in this, but he's got her back, so he's somehow going to show up.
Do you have any thoughts? Because Leslie and I were talking about this last night. Do you have any thoughts on, like, do you remember how right before they left Sophos to go for the coronation, she's talking to Luther and they're kind of like, she's dreaming about their cottage they're gonna have with their goats and all that stuff.
Goat and
And he's
Jr.
like,
the donkey.
Taran Jr. the donkey. And then he's like, he's cutting up an apple, and then she notices that his eyes like glaze over and he gets kind of weird, and then all of a sudden he turns the dagger on himself, and he like slices over that portion of his heart that wasn't affected by the scar. Not cuts deeply or anything, but like sheds some blood. And then he gets all weird and he like looks at his wrist, and then he gets even more protective and weird. Do you have any thoughts on why that may have happened or what was going on there?
Because he is descended, right?
We can tell you our thoughts.
Yeah, tell me your thoughts.
Okay. Well, and this kind of goes in with like the last chapter too. So there's a plan. And so what happens is, as I think, so you know how like the Umbros, so the soldiers were late coming back to Umbros. I think
coming back to Sophos.
It's coming back to Sophos. So I think the Queen of Umbrios, because she was late to the meeting or whatever, she knew what was going to happen. She knew she was going to die, because she talks about that before. And her or somebody else was taking over Luther's mind or something like that. And it should have been a sign to her by him doing that. And
like they were trying to warn her.
And like he all of a sudden he doesn't want her to get on the boat and stuff like that, but he can't come, right? And so he's like basically being restricted, and he's like super pissed off and possessive and stuff like that. So I think, because how else did he get to we don't know how he got to the island, right?
Right. I wondered that.
So I think the Queen of Umbros gives him the whole damn rundown. Is like, no, you have to let this happen because of X, Y, and Z. We don't know what X, Y, and Z is, but X, Y, and Z. Because think about it. When he runs to her, he says something like, don't worry, I'm here, my heart, or something like that. And then she's like, no, you have to get the hell out of here. Take Perth and tell her with you and get the hell out of here. And he goes, okay, kiss goodbye, out the door. So uncharacteristic of him, unless this man knows the plan, has a plan, there is a plan.
I agree.
Because I think that's exactly what happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. I do agree that he has a plan. That's why I said he's got her back. He's going to show up, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
So maybe she doesn't die.
I'm with you though on that. I kind of had the thought that maybe Ophiuchi is somehow going to get to her.
I did have that thought.
Well, we're not done with him.
Oh no.
You know, he's I think he's going to be a big player in this next book somehow.
Okay, so Leslie, do you have any thoughts on like how the last chapter ended and how it's going to like tie into the beginning of the next book and the story to continue?
Yeah. So, can we first point out, and I pointed this out last night, but that the book should have ended when she became the queen of Umbrios. That's where it should have ended. Like this whole other stuff, like that would have been so much better as an opening, like action-packed opening for the next book. And I think it would have been a better cliffhanger. Like, yes, it wouldn't been as cliffhanger-y, but it would have been better. Like, oh crap, now what's going to happen? They're all standing there. What's going to happen now? Kind of thing. I think that would have been better. So anyway, so this is like last chapter, right? Everything happens. And I already kind of told you that I think Luther has a plan, knows a plan. First off, I didn't mention this a second ago. Saray was already on her way. She was there within minutes. She was already on her way. And the other two Gryverns were there. Sophos's Gryvern and Maros's Gryvern was there because they had a plan. I think what happened with Sophos is he knows how they trapped Ophiuchi in there because he was lying about a whole bunch of things.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so I'm pretty sure Ophiuchi was supposed to be the curse breaker, if we're going to call it.
Okay.
But he didn't. But then they later found out that he was going to go for vengeance instead of or he's Omnos. I don't know yet, but was going to go for vengeance instead of like putting the world back together. And then so that's why all the Kindred, after this, whatever war happened on the Forgotten Lands happened, because obviously a war happened on the Forgotten Lands. And the magic wants out of there, right? It wants to go to Diem, but it wants to take away from like Luther and anybody else, right? So some type of war happened. That's where all the Godstone weapons were used. And then anyway, so then somehow they got him trapped inside the thing right before the blood war, right before this all started up again. And so he's trapped in there, right? So they trap him in there. And anyway, so Sophos knows how this all happened. And so he's like, okay, cool. I can take out two birds with one stone. We can put her in a bonded bargain or whatever. So that way she won't be able to do it if I kill him. So we'll go kill him because we know how to do it. Or they're going to try and get him back to the freaking the dungeon is what they're going to do or something. But anyway, she won't have magic. She's trapped there. And then that won't be their problems. And then she can't take any more crowns and all that kind of stuff. And then, so that's like what Sophos is doing. He puts Maros in on it because he needs a buddy to do this with, right? And so that's why both their Gryverns are there ready to take them off. But I think like the Umbros Gryvern is there. And oh wait, Fortos doesn't have one. Supposedly. And then but I think the Umbros Gryvern is there. I think that's how Luther and them got there. And Saray was already there. So somebody's going to come back for them. And like they have a plan. I just don't know what it is, but they have a plan to get her out. But my other thought was, and this is kind of where this comes in. So it says like nobody other than the crown, or they're moving the wards outside of the temple so that only crowns can be on the island. But before it was only crowns allowed inside the temple. How was Orly able to be inside the temple and get herself burned on the Heartstone? Tell me that. Because I need to know.
Are we sure that that's true though? Like that they were only allowed in the temple?
Yes. Past the portals. That's why they stand outside of the portals. And they feel the rush of the energy from the Heartstone. Because the Heartstone magic or whatever doesn't work outside of the temple. The temple is built around the Heartstone. How the hell was Orly able to be in there? So is Orly going to be able? Because we don't see Orly at the end. All we know is she waves goodbye later.
And the Queen of Umbros does say, like, your mom has a big part to play in what's to come.
A big part to play in this. So is Orly always been able to be over there for some whatever reason? We don't know yet.
Because she's descended of the guardian of the Everflame, the true guardian.
Possibly, but that doesn't make her a crown. But yes. And then Orly will be able to come get her out or something, or knows how to get her out. So she's a part of it. Luther's a part of this, and that's how she's going to get out. But first, so the Igneous King was like, oh, I'm gonna die now too, or whatever, because that was Godstone nails or whatever. And Sophos goes, no, we have a cure. But they don't have a cure because they don't have any more of Diem's blood. That's when Diem realizes, okay, that was the secret ingredient or whatever, right? We talked about this last night, so I don't mean to repeat, but your mom wasn't there, so so he doesn't know that he's gonna die, and so that's why he's trying to take his shot at Diem. But if Diem's blood is the life and Godstone is the death, so her blood will heal itself. She will be fine. She won't actually be hurt. And then the King of Igneous will be like, how did you do that? And then she'll know, and then she'll give him that fucking compassion because she doesn't want to hurt him. And then something will happen to him where he'll die and she'll get the crown, or he'll still die, or maybe he'll refuse to take her blood and he'll die, and then she gets that crown too. And then Orly comes and saves her. But I think you're right. I think Orly's going to come with Ophiuchi or whatever, Ophi, Daddy Ophi. And because she's in on this with Ophi, because I think she's fallen too far down the guardian hole. And because she is, let's say, the leader of the guardians, therefore she would be the guardian of the Everflame tree because she is some sort of descendant of the Everflame tree. And so she knows, because of all the mortal books and stuff like that she hides and that she's read and stuff like that, and she knows how this is going to play out or whatever, or she knows that Diem is how we get rid of the descendant or whatever, right? And so she had a baby with Ophiuchi or whatever for her to be the scapegoat for her and Ophiuchi's plans. And that's why she's like, whatever it is, the mom from Tangled, and she's like, my precious, don't touch my precious, nobody needs to know about my precious, so nobody takes this away from me. No, so she can't learn. That's why I'm going to give you the flame root so that you don't remember all of these things. But at the same time, why does she have these memories of like places that she hasn't actually ever been to that we know of, or like things? You know what I mean? So is she an ancient soul? And she was a freaking baby. What if she was in the damn dungeon too and she was stolen? But because she was born on the island, she was imbued with the powers of the Everflame as well. So what if she's still not Orly's daughter?
No.
Because it says so, that the babies, that pregnant mothers, once labor began, would go out through the sea to the island to have their babies in hopes that their baby would be imbued with the powers of the Everflame. Like, that's not quite it, but it's really close to it. Orly freaking knew that. But why was she there so many times? How many times has she been there? Why was she able to be in the temple? I don't know. I don't know. I think she's a Henry, but she went way farther than Henry did, if that makes sense. I think I just went into my entire thoughts and theories on accident.
Yeah, no, you're good. But I think we're about at the point where we need to do that anyways.
Yeah, I think we need to. Yeah. Okay, Mom, what do you think?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah. And that's fair.
Yeah. I want to see how it pans out, but I like your thoughts there. You guys have made me think a lot differently about Orly. Not that I've never really liked her. I think she's a terrible mom. But she's good at hiding her secrets, and so there's got to be a lot more to her.
There's so much more to her. And I do like. What do you think about that? Like that she has this plan as well with Diem.
I do think she has some plan with Diem because she's been stifling Diem her whole life. And then she makes Diem think that she's doing it for her own good and that Diem's a bad person for questioning her intentions. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot more to her. But yeah, as far as what I think is going to happen, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's fair.
So, okay. Let's start with the Godstone because that's where I'm kind of at right now. I think that Diem is obviously I don't think she's going to die. I think that her blood is going to counteract the Godstone because she even talks about like, I mean, the other people that have been stabbed by Godstone so far, it's like a painful, horrible death. It's the infection from the Godstone is just awful and whatnot. And she's like, oh, this feels warm and weird and not what I thought death would feel like. And it's nice almost. And so I think, yeah, the Godstone, she's going to counteract the Godstone. It's not going to kill her. I do think that she is going to have a moment of compassion on the King of Igneos and try to offer at least to heal him, but he is going to die. She's going to get his crown. And she also, I noticed when I was going back through my notes that the Kindred temple is built of Godstone. And Ophiuchi told orally that he needed Diem's blood to release his chains and then also to pour on some on the stone. The stone has cracked. It is not destroyed.
Broken. Yeah.
She's stuck on the island, which I think was the biggest, dumbest thing for the Descended to do, was stick this person whose blood can literally destroy their heartstone and make it so that this person cannot leave, and they're going to have endless amounts of time to figure this out. And I think she's going to have a moment of like going back through the prophecies and everything and be like, huh, I wonder if I pour more of my blood on the Godstone, if it's going to completely get destroyed. And it's going to break down the borders. If the Heartstone's not there, the wards on the Heartstone will no longer be there. I think she's actually going to end up being able to rescue herself in a way.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of also think that maybe Ophiuchi is going to come back. He is a crown, therefore he is going to be allowed on the island. He's going to find
he's a
her.
Crown? Oh, he just has the crown.
He has a crown. She has seen the crown on his head. He is 100% one of the crowns. And he is the 10th forgotten crown. He's going to be allowed on the island. He can get back to the island. He can be on the island with her. They won't have magic, but I'm sure there's going to be a fight, a struggle of some sort. He's going to then kind of help her realize, because he knows the history, your blood can destroy this Heartstone and get rid of it. And I think that he's actually going to be the one that ends up helping her figure that out. But he's still then going to be like, okay, now let's go kill everybody. And that's when she's going to have to actually kill him.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's
and good. She's going to be able to destroy the temple. We know she can destroy Godstone. The whole thing with balance, that stuck out to me so much in this last chapter chunk of the third book. The balance. She is the balance between the Everflame and the Heartstone is her. Because she is, I do thoroughly believe, I still don't think she was stolen. I think she was born on the island. I think you're thought of that maybe because she was born on the island and she's descended of the original guardian, that she's got extra powers from the Everflame.
Yeah.
But that she is Orly's daughter and Ophiuchi's daughter. And she is the balance that's going to restore everything. She's going to restore the whole balance of the magic, of the people. And I think she is ultimately, I honestly think she's going to lose her magic in the end. Because the bargain was if she does not kill Ophiuchi, she loses her magic. And so I think she is going to end up not killing him and there's not going to be any magic except for the Everflame, and everything's going to go back to normal.
Yep. I think
that's a maybe anticlimactic ending, but I kind of feel like that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you.
But
what do you... Okay, my question is, do you guys think, like, is there going to be another battle?
Absolutely. The vision.
Because obviously because of the vision.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, the silver flames. What are the silver freaking flames?
I know, and that kind of goes back to the whole moon thing too.
Yeah.
And the only other time we hear about her like having the silver flames is during her challenging with Ron, Ghislaine.
That's the only time we hear about it, I think.
When she is covered in silver flames.
See, I thought that was in the vision. I didn't think she was actually covered in silver flames.
No, I think it was also... Maybe you're right. Maybe it was also, but I kind of feel like it was also during that time.
Yeah, because that's the first time she sees the man from the vision, I think. And he
Mhm.
says, "Come, daughter of the forgotten, join me," or something like that. And then all it says is, "And then I had silver flames," or something like that. A wall of silver flames.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it was part of the vision still.
And I think obviously like Ophiuchi knows, I think she has one leg up on him that she hasn't figured out yet, but he knows, because I think that she, because of her breeding, because she is, I do believe, part guardian, part kindred, that she's got something up on him because he is full kindred. Yeah, he can absorb magic. Obviously, something, Orly says she stabbed him with Godstone and he survived,
Right.
supposedly.
Good point.
So but he was not able to destroy the Godstone that was keeping him captive. So somehow he survived the Godstone being stabbed, if he truly was stabbed by Godstone. Yeah. Somehow he survived that, but he needed her blood. He knew he needed her to do this. Yeah. So he couldn't do it on his own. His blood's not going to break the Heartstone. His blood is not powerful enough to do those things. Maybe it's powerful enough to heal himself from Godstone, but it's not powerful enough to actually get the job done with the Heartstone. So I think she's got a leg up on him in that way, that she's got a little extra something that he does not have.
Yeah.
Do you think that he seduced Orly for that blood?
Yes.
In hopes that she would have a baby?
I think so. Because he says and she says there was no love.
Right.
And he knows the history. He knows so many things. So I think you're accurate on that. I think he did. I think it was all a plan. Okay, so I think that kind of wraps up everything we all wanted to say about the end of everything. That was a lot.
Yeah.
But hopefully we get some answers in the coming book.
I hope
so. So first of all, before we close out completely, Mom, thank you so much for joining us. This was so much fun.
We had so much fun.
I enjoyed it, and thank you for asking me to join. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes.
You definitely awesome. Put some other thoughts in my head too, things that I hadn't thought about, which is cool.
Oh, yeah, good.
This is cool.
It was very cool. It was good to be here and hear your guys' thoughts. And like I said, I've learned a lot from both of you, and I'm going to take it forward.
Are you going to read book 4? That's what I need to know.
Absolutely. In a day.
In a day.
No, I'm going to try to slow down. I'm going to slow down.
Slow down. Think about it.
Yeah. Maybe.
Awesome. Maybe. Like I'll buzz through it before you guys even open the first page. Definitely before I open the first page. I'm not excited.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, that's good. You guys can sit here and beg me to read it.
Sounds good.
All right. So next week, we will be starting from Blood and Ash, the Blood and Ash series, and Flesh and Fire. Jess found this cool little way to read them kind of intertwined. Mm-hmm. So the Blood and Ash series, we will be reading and discussing, breaking them down in a couple chapter chunks per book, just like we've done with the Spark of the Everflame series. But for the Flesh and Fire series, we're going to be doing those. Me and Jess are actually going to read them on Audible, which we just got. And then we will be discussing each of those 4 books just as whole books for bonus episodes. So we hope that you enjoy those, and those will be starting soon. Actually, Jess, when do they start?
Yeah, so our first episode in the series, we'll just be discussing the first half of book 1 in the Blood and Ash series, which is the book From Blood and Ash, is that first book. And that's going to be starting Tuesday, July 1st.
Yeah. And so this wraps up our Kindred Curse Saga series.
Bittersweet, but it's time to open the next cover.
Oh, I love that. We will have a new intro and a new look coming soon. So don't worry, we're still the same. I'll be seeking out the action.
And I'll still be waiting for the next Morally Gray MMC.
Of course you will. If you are interested in joining us for discussion for the Blood and Ash series, make sure to reach out to us.
If you're enjoying reading along with us or just enjoying our conversations and theories, be sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button on your way out.
And reading all these series with book besties is so much freaking fun.
It is. So make sure to share with your book besties. And if you don't have any book besties,
then consider yourself one of ours.
Yes.
And until next time, don't forget to fill those drinks with ice.
And your books with spice.
Bye.
Bye.